Did you have a good ICAST?
Yeah, ICAST was great.
When did you get in? Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday night. So
okay, so you did like the
Wednesday
Thursday
night
thing.
With a bunch of people, and then Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
cool.
really lovely. I haven't been to ICAST in like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And so last time I was there, I was like 21, 22 years old, and it was just really fun.
So long ago.
So long ago. No, but it was like so much life has happened and for everyone, and it was just a really nice reunion. I felt like I was just with like dear old family. Like why go to a high school reunion when you can just go to ICAST? That was
5 years ago? 21?
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
I know. I'm still like, whoa, how do you drink this Papa's Pilar?
Was Fish for Change set up there?
No, we were not. But I worked with Kyo a lot during COVID period. Still have a strong connection with them.
Very cool.
But I was, of course, Fish for Change is always, I can't help it. Always pitching it.
Right.
You never know who you're going to meet. What's going to happen.
Right. So, we're from the same hometown, though, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Coral Springs, Florida.
But you
town of only us and a few others.
And Fat Boy Sushi. Apparently.
There is a movie theater.
There is, well, yeah. I don't know. They're kind of blowing up the town a little bit right now, but it's good and bad, I guess. I don't know. So, but you are now based out of Colorado.
Yes,
right?
I am now in Carbondale, Colorado.
Okay. What found you out there?
It is pretty much a total 180 from everything I call home. I don't know how I really ended up there or began to do.
How did you end up there, though? Because you went to Florida State.
Yeah,
right?
So grew up in
another room full of Seminoles.
Are you a Seminole as well?
Well, my heart. I went to Ringling, but I am a Seminole. I grew up a Seminole.
That's all that matters.
So it's but I can tell you one. Actually, I'll tell you a lot of I spent a lot of time in Tallahassee. Actually, while I was at Ringling, and even like years beyond, like I had friends going up there, and like I would actually go to class.
Really?
Did
you learn anything good?
No, I would just sit there and draw. I would draw like pictures, like, and then people would look at me like, "You are in like pre-calculus right now, or like you're in like calculus, whatever."
Good environment to doodle in.
Yeah, and I would just go like my buddy Ian's like, "Hey, I got to go to class real quick." Like that's when we partied all night. It's like we were out. He's like, "Okay, let's just go to class real quick on our way home." And I'm like, "Okay." So I just went to class, and I just like. I remember there was one where I was drawing like a Scooby-Doo that was like on the back of like the shirt in front of me. I was like, just drawing that, and like people were like, kept on looking at me like, what is this guy doing? Just drawing Scooby-Doo in the middle of this calculus class.
Being much more productive than everyone else that were actually learning calculus.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, we're Seminole at heart, so.
Seminole at heart, yeah. Grew up South Florida, went to Florida State.
And you found yourself in Colorado.
Found myself in Colorado at this present moment.
Yeah. You grew up an angler.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So I grew up fishing with my dad since I was really young.
So like because you're primarily like the fly fisher.
Now, but in my childhood, Florida kids, like you're surrounded by so much different type of water and so many different types of people. Right. So there was a lot of just like opportunity in the environment to dig into a lot of different spaces. So I was definitely never really obsessed with one. I just loved being on the water and spent time across.
Well, I think that's the unique thing about growing up down here. It's like, you're exposed to so many different types of, fishing and just water sports in general.
We like being underwater as much as we like being on it. Yep. Like it's just a really 100%. Nice place to grow up and give you that exposure. Now I'm surrounded by these trout things.
Right.
And
you like trout fishing?
I like sight fishing.
Nick's over there like, no.
He said no. Okay, I like sight fishing.
Okay, so the whole, I like sight fishing too.
Triple nymph rig under an indicator and waiting for your bobber to drop thing. And then also not being like the bow of a skiff where there's a tree behind you could potentially snag and have your entire triple nymph rig get destroyed in a matter of seconds. Doesn't do it for me, I'll be honest. Some tantrums are involved. I actually usually spend most of my time sitting on the riverbank building fairy forts, I call them, like cabins out of sticks.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fun. See, there's an artist in all of us.
That's what you're into. That's the creative question, right?
Exactly.
There is an artist in all of us.
I was catching trout on dry flies about 72 hours ago, and I was dancing and screaming like a little kid. So I do like the whole
I like
visual
trout fishing.
component. It's really special.
Listen, I love trout fishing. There's a certain romanticism to the whole thing. There's like a poetry, so to speak, of the patience of reading everything correctly and doing everything correctly and just waiting and doing the method and having the timing and everything like that. When you actually convert on a fish, it's very difficult to catch. There's a certain joy to that. Yeah. So
and spending time with one fish, it's so different than flats fishing. You've got this like 5-second window versus like really methodically going through the process to catch that one fish in that one spot that you can like spend as long as you want with, really, and it's not going to go anywhere.
My favorite movie / book of all time, not my second favorite book. I think my first favorite book of all time would be Old Man and the Sea, but the second one would be unequivocally River Runs Through It. So anytime I hear about fishing out in anywhere like Wyoming, Montana, should be in Wyoming soon, and Colorado and stuff like that, like kind of takes me back to that whole like romantic era, Norman McLean, and so it's always cool to have someone in that has some perspective on that, because we do so much focus here on offshore and kite fishing, or even just like the inshore stuff is obviously mainly tarpon and snook and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to have someone in here with a little bit of influence beyond that.
Not good in any of them, just,
yeah,
jack
I disagree.
of many trades. Whatever,
I don't know,
what's
man.
that quote?
I watched a bunch of video of yours earlier before you came on, so I would kind of disagree with the good of any of them.
And I love them all. I turn into
it's all that
a little
matters.
Kid always.
It's all that matters.
Passion part there, strong.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but I like it out west a lot. It's definitely a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
Slower pace of life. It's a small community, so everyone kind of just like has each other's backs, and most of our time spent outside. Do a lot of fresh air breathing in Colorado.
Okay.
Which I love.
Yeah.
But even being at ICAST these past few days, it was like 2 a.m. ICAST one night, and I'm looking around at all these friends I haven't seen in 1 year too many, and I got emotional, and I was like, damn, I think I need to move back here. I love this community.
Really?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the Florida fishing community
Florida's
is like
tough
no
to
other.
leave.
It's like no other. But then I drove here and got stuck in traffic, and I realized Colorado's home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so especially down here, it's really getting kind of crazy with the congestion and the amount of people, and it gets frustrating sometimes, but it's still home.
Everyone's coming here for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
This level of water access is everything.
Yep, 100%.
So what's your timeline story? So you go.
My
it's really
timeline
hard.
story.
I love meeting people where you know nothing and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's so many years to catch up on. Don't give me any of the details. We don't have time for that. But what are our big pivot points?
Don't give me any of the details. We don't have time for that. All right, cool. So I always say that we're meeting technically for the second time, but we met the other day at ICAST for 30 seconds. It seemed like, right, because you were in and out too quickly. I'm like, no, don't go. But
there was a line of 10 people that wanted a signed copy of his prints. It was.
Yeah, it was busy. It was busy. It was cool. But Nick really here speaks the world of you, and he's like, "Oh, we got to have Heather on. We got to have Heather on." I'm like, "All right, cool. Bring her on." Right, and then I started researching you. Yeah, he's right, man. Right, and then I started researching you. I'm like, absolutely incredible. Yeah, for sure, bring her on. And I started researching Fish for Change, an absolutely incredible organization. And I saw a lot of parallels in emotion and theory to Connected by Water and what we stand behind and the things that we're into, like community, family, education, coastal restoration, and that's definitely what Fish for Change is all about, right? Mm-hmm. So. How did you get in line with that? Tell me the genesis of this.
I love it. I love what you just said. There's all of us kind of are doing things with the exact same goal. There's just so many different angles you can take, and we're doing that. So, basically, two favorite things in life have always been fly fishing and sleepaway camp. I am obsessed with
You ever go to sea camp?
And I have, yeah. Were you a sea camp kid?
Twice.
Really?
Yep.
And how did it change your life?
Very profoundly, actually. It was one of the greatest childhood memories I've ever had. And it was one of my greatest high school memories I've ever had. So I went once in the 6th grade, and then once in when I was a junior in high school. And both times I went were completely different. Mm-hmm. Because you look at it differently when you're a kid, and then it would going back as a high school student was really impactful, especially because you had that dry run when you were a kid, and you're like, wow, I didn't really appreciate it then as much as I did in high school. Mm-hmm. And just that week of being together with everyone who was into it too, and, and learning everything that you learned, and, getting in the lab, and after, and picking everything apart, and them educating you on what was what. It was not only just an educational experience, but I think it brought me closer to Florida in general.
Definitely.
Which is really important. So I'm trying to instill that in my kids now. Mm-hmm. Teach them no, it's not just the Florida you see on the surface and the concrete roads and the congestion and the traffic. There's a lot of value to where we're at. So
a lot of value.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's formed just through experiential education, and creating a community of kids that just all love it too. It's really special. You don't find that often.
100%.
So I went to sleepaway camp growing up. I was the last kid off the mountain on the last day of camp every year. My parents had to drag me off until I got 14, and they said, Heather, you can't go back. You're too old now. And I said, no. But I never went back because they were the boss. And then I was in high school, and I worked at IGFA's fishing camp every summer of high school. Fell in love with that setting too. got to college, my college internship was running the youth program at Tropic Star Lodge in Panama every summer.
Really?
And yeah, so I was down. I actually got to see.
And that makes me really jealous because I was supposed to go down with Mike this year, and I'm not going to be able to make it. Yeah.
Have you been down there before?
No, not yet. This is going to be my first time down there.
I really
I know.
make that thing happen when the time is right, because it is such a special place. I got to actually see my old bosses from Tropic Star for the first time in 5 years at ICAST, and we like body slammed each other to the ground. We were so excited.
Nice.
It was
That's
really
cool.
special. But yeah, so I worked in Panama every summer with the youth program there. So my whole life kind of just followed in suit of like fly fishing, youth education in some capacity. I think that went into one, I just like the camp environment. It's so, you show up a stranger to everyone, you show up a stranger to the place and the space and all the things going on, and you get to just like make what you want of it. And there's something special to be said about that, especially as a young person when you're used to being like under your parents' watchful eyes and you've got that persona you show up as, and then you have that freedom to just like run wild and explore, you know? And challenge your comfort zones and dive into a location you can become confident in something new. And so I've always just like absolutely adored camp. I thought it was just like a really good way to bring people together from all over. And then especially like as a teenager, oh my gosh, most teenagers, you're 15 years old and you have one view of reality, and it's probably your high school, your hometown, your little bubble that you're living in.
Right.
Every year you get a little older, you meet a few new people, you go a few new places, and then your like perception changes. You become more empathetic because you see all these new ways of living. And like usually you don't get that till post-grad, you know? After you get out of the school system, you finally get to start seeing like, how can life be lived? How can I be human? How can I participate in this world around us? But if you get to go to camp, which is a very lucky blessing, you get to start seeing all that stuff early. You get to start having your perspective flip and switch a little early on. So just really special place. And so right after I graduated college, well, actually a month before, I met Steve Brown, who's the owner of Fly Fish Guanaja down in Honduras. And he was just all hyped up on this Fish for Change thing. He's like, I've got these high school kids. They all come down to Guanaja, Honduras. Which
I watched that video this morning.
You did?
Oh,
Which one?
The one that's on the site, the Guanaja. Okay. Yeah, and that was it was great. It was eye-opening.
Yeah, it's a great little 5-minute capture of like the whole entire process, you know? At least that detail of it, it's so hard to describe. But he invited me down for the summer. We were just so in line with our values and why fishing is important to us and why youth education means so much. And I went down there and I ended up canceling my return flight, staying for a few months, falling absolutely in love with Guanaja. It's basically, Guanaja is a bay island off Honduras. It's 12 miles east of Roatan. Roatan has an international airport and cruise ships that pass through. Guanaja has Fly Fish Guanaja. The tourism there does not exist.
Right.
Sounds
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's towering mountains meeting these beautiful reef flats. The locals all speak English, very similar to Belize, was a British-run colony. So it's cool too, because for the travel component, you're not like fighting for the words to say please and thank you. You're digging into why people tick and actually get to connect with people on a really deep level. So I went down there that summer and I've traveled a decent bit, and Guanaja is one of those places where I would never get on I had someone ask me once, he goes, if you could go somewhere new every single year for the rest of your life, or go to Guanaja every year but you can't go anywhere else, what would you choose? And for a curious young lady, I would choose Guanaja.
Really?
It is it. It
really
is my heaven, favorite place in the world, second home.
See, just from meeting
family.
you, like, because I don't know if I already say this on the episode. I love meeting people for the first time on the show.
It's so fun.
That's.
We don't know anything about each other.
Nothing.
We have so much research
to do. Not a
damn
thing, right? Not a damn thing. But it's cool as shit because, you know, everything's fresh. The reactions are fresh. It's like the responses are all fresh, and it's very cool. That's why I'm very surprised because you don't take me as someone that is willing to just settle for one place forever.
I don't take me as that either, and I refuse to. But Guanaja is different.
All right.
I'm just saying.
So
Guanaja,
I'm sold.
Guanaja is the exception.
But like, sell me more.
Yeah, it is the exception. So our Fish for Change program started there.
Okay. So that's ground zero of the Fish for Change.
Ground zero. That is where it was all built out, and it's the perfect place to do it.
Because I looked on the site, it says in Mexico, Bahamas, you have programs in Marsh, and you got programs in Colorado and Costa Rica, and but
good research. Yeah,
absolutely.
Those are our 5
for sure. No, it's important because I mean, this is like what you're talking about with Fish for Change. Like to me, that's like the marrow of life. That this is what I'm all about. Like, this is what I love hearing about. I love hearing stories like this. I love finding out like how this came to be, because the world needs more of this kind of stuff. And I went through and I did the motions. And I was really blown away by everything that I found on the site, and then on your profiles and everything like that. So
Thank you.
And it's really, really important. And I got even more excited to bring you on. I'm like, this is going to be great. But tell me more about like why this place and how is it found, and like what, like with Steve and everything like that. Like,
Steve backpacked Central America and ran into it. And the people there called permit pumpajacks. He didn't even realize there were permit there. They're like, yeah, there are these fish called pumpajack. That's how they say it. Pumpajack. It's so fun.
Nice.
Sorry, I love saying it, pumpajack. And so, and when he discovered it, he completely fell in love, created a fishing lodge out of it, and then started bringing in his family friends. And when I went down and saw the whole program, I was like really, really blown away. So the town we're in is called Mangrove Bight. It's a 500-person fishing town. Everyone's cousins. Like, if they want to date, they have to go to the mainland. Like,
come on.
Everyone is blood.
Really?
And it's one of those places too where when you show up, you feel like you're blood too. Like, there's so much love, and it's so welcoming, so safe, so special. I'm a week out of Guanaja right now, so I'm still on my, like, tingling Guanaja.
Can I go with you next time you go?
And yeah, come on down. You're a big
serious.
counselor.
I'm not kidding.
It's exhausting. I need a nap.
Really?
And it's so special. And so when it comes to understanding a new culture in space, it's the perfect intro location. Our programs are super dynamic. So they're basically, it's all kind of founded in, like, Fish for Change is high school, college, fly fishing, sleepaway camp of sorts, right?
Okay.
We take over a fishing lodge with teenagers for the week. While they're there, they have a chance to meet other like-minded individuals that are obsessed with the sport.
So it's a teenage program?
High school, college. So
okay.
Up to 22.
So I'm out.
But yeah, I'm sorry. You can't be a camper. I'm actually considering at this point now starting to pivot into more adult trips as well, just because the demand is there. But basically, there's fly fishing education, and then we team up with local conservation groups. So we'll do environmental projects, whether that be reef restoration, mangrove restoration. And then on the cultural exchange component, that's my favorite part. It's one of those things too, where I feel like in the fishing space, it's like, okay, you just flew to the other side of the world and you went to go catch your Grander Marlin, or you went to go catch your permit on fly. But the whole package is inclusive, right? Like, you're showing up at this lodge. You're not leaving this lodge. You're getting on the boat each day. Your extent to real, like, immersion in the community is talking to your guide for 8 hours on the boat, but you're only seeing him at work. Then he goes home. You go home. You do your little happy hour deal. Probably pass out. Do it again. You leave and you're like, damn, that water was cool. But what was the land like? What was the community like? What was that space like? And so Fish for Change is just really cool because on the community component, we've got all of the guides' kids are participating in our programs, which is really special. We have local scholarship projects. We do scavenger hunts through town. We cook traditional dishes.
Yeah.
We go into the guides' homes. This year we did it for the first time. We did homestays. So each week we stayed at the guides' homes with their families. And so there's so many more layers to it. You're not just seeing that 9 to 5 anymore. Now you're seeing the full 24/7. And so for a teenager who, for one, meeting someone from another state's a big deal. Now there's this like 15-year-old kid from Miami, Florida, living with this 15-year-old kid from Guanaja, Honduras, who lives in a little stilt house over the water and hand lines for dinner, and their lives look so different, but at the end of the day they're so similar, and fishing is their big commonality that bridges that gap. They're now roommates for a week. They're now bonding in a place over their shared love for the sport. So talk about connected by water.
I love that.
It's really cool. It's special. And then just in like that experiential education model, every day is really filled with activities along all those pillars. But at night, we all come together and we reflect and we read and we write. We discuss our days and we have time to just like take it all in, because it's a lot. Like 7 days in that context feels like 7 months. It is just,
right.
When it's crazy when you travel, how it makes your normal days feel like they're really short.
Well, they say that's, I don't know who said it, but someone once said it, that the cure for all racism and cultural appropriation is traveling.
Yeah.
Because you really start getting the perspective and seeing how other people live, and maybe you appreciate more of what you got here, or whatever their perspective is, but it really does help.
It humanizes everyone.
Yeah, humanizes everyone, exactly.
Right.
We always say it's like, and that was another reason why I wanted to bring up the Colorado thing, is because when we say we do so much local conversation here, it's like, connected by water is a theory that transcends all that, right? It's like, you're in Colorado, we're connected by water. And no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water. That's what we say. And this is like a global thing. And, speaking to what you're talking about, like really brings that home and drives that home for us here too, because it's something that we really, really, really believe in.
Definitely.
And it's something that I think is so important, to not only just, us as human beings and a human race, but how much influence our sport can have on the world, right? And not even just our sport as fishing, but like all the different nuances that come into fishing, whether it's fly fishing or big game fishing or bass fishing or freshwater, and it also could go paddleboarding or surfing or whatever. Like everyone who experiences that love for the passion of the sea, because there was a connection, there's a bond to it.
Definitely.
Right? It's really what makes us human.
Mm-hmm. Passions are purpose.
100%. One of the things you're talking about, the Honduras stuff, and that's amazing to find that out. But one thing I was really curious about when I was reading up on you a little bit was the Marsh Harbor aspect of it. And you're giving some education to these kids right now about hurricane restoration.
Mm-hmm.
And can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, definitely. So that actually is cool because it goes in line with Guanaja, because a lot of what we do there is mangrove restoration in Guanaja after Hurricane Mitch, which hit 20 years ago, went out the whole island. So it's Darien hitting Abaco, very similar theme, just 2 decades down the road.
Yeah.
So you're seeing kind of the front end of it all. But in our Abaco program, we've teamed up with Bonefish Tarpon Trust and Friends of the Environment.
Great organization.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things too.
So is Meng. Those guys are great.
Oh, they're all wonderful human beings, up to really good stuff. I really love and respect every one of those groups deeply. But it's one of those things with our programs where it's like, we have 7 days in this place. We don't have 365. So when it comes to our conservation components, we're able to kind of feed off of the ongoing projects that are already there and give level 1, which is exposure and education.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to hands-on be actively working on it year-round, but we are going to be able to feed off of the organizations that are doing that hard work year-round, which are BTT, Friends of the Environment, Ming, all of that. Learn from them and teach our student body and give them a chance to take it in, understand it's something they could do with their life, and spread the word.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much where it's at there. And it's really special to be a part of.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, Marsh Harbor is obviously a place that's near and dear to our hearts. Being so close,
next door neighbors,
and just being there so often. It's where I caught my bonefish on fly, or first bonefish on fly was there, and everything. So it's like, going over. I was the artist for the custom shootout like a handful of times, and just going over there with Skip Smith's tournaments and whatnot. It's like, when that hurricane hit, it was just very tough for all of us to deal with, because it's kind of like your backyard, right? And so it's like, it's nice to hear that, there's ongoing efforts that are really, happening to not only just provide for the people over there, but just to educate people on, what's still needed and, what can happen again. And it could happen again this summer, which is a very scary thought, but
so scary,
so it's an ongoing thing. If you look at the coastline and the way we're formed, it's like, this is not the first hurricane that's come.
We're
you know what I mean?
For it.
It literally formed our coastline and the way our coastline looks. It's obvious, but yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to hear that you guys are supporting that in full effort.
Definitely.
And it's nice to hear that Bonefish Tarpon Trust and Meg and all those guys are getting involved too. So we're doing a similar program here. Not similar program, but with the mangrove restoration with Starbright, and who we're working with, to where we're nominating a do-gooder every week. It's hashtag do-gooder, and we're working with them to nominate people that just are like good stewards of the environment, and doing what they can in their local community to coastal restoration or beach cleanups, or maybe going a little bit above beyond that. So it's nice to see that is gaining momentum like all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah.
It's taking over in the best way possible. It's so awesome.
100%. 100%.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
And that goes back to just like how, thank you, Bartender Nick.
Bartender Nick. Double trouble.
And no, but that just goes back also to just like the basic interlevel passion and exposure leads to so many things. And it's like, I remember right after I graduated, I went through this little like intro to adult world crisis of, I spent my whole life fishing, but I don't understand the point of it. Like, all I'm doing and what's making me happy right now is putting these weird little feathers in front of a fish's face, sticking them, reeling them in, and then I'm like, yeah, my ego's justified. Let's go. Like, come on, that's so stupid. And it's so stupid. And I really just didn't get it. And that's why when I found out about Fish for Change and all these other layers to it, and it's like, wait. But because I fly fish, I have the best group of friends on the planet. Because I fly fish, I've seen a lot of the world. Because I've seen a lot of the world, I've cared a lot about the world. Because I fly fish, I'm exposed to the environment, and therefore I want to protect it. Like, it's a stepping stone.
Right.
That intro to fishing is step one, and
Thanks.
then it takes you on all these, and then it takes you on all these
Cheers.
other layers. Cheers. Fun, not catching up, getting to know you.
It always amazes me. You know, I have to stop and look back on it every now and then, and just from a 30,000 foot view, and just
Right.
like look at the fishing industry as a whole, and ask myself, like, how? We're just fishing, right? What is it about?
Fresh out of ICAST, like, whoa.
Seriously, fresh out of ICAST, especially, right? Like, what built this beast? There's so much conservation tied to it, which is great. But, you know, what is it like? I guess I was watching a show on Waypoint TV last night, and I saw like these kids just like walking around town with their GoPro straps like still on, and I'm just like, guys, you can take it off now, you know. But there's so many people that see a path like to make a living, like in these spaces, and some I think, well, some I know are doing it better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say doing it better, like with more authenticity and more meaning.
Yes.
Right, and more in a more genuine way, and some are not, and that's okay. I'm not knocking anybody, right? There's a path for that too, and
right.
people eat that up, and whether that's sustainable or not is another question. But I think what is sustainable is caring about, you know, conservation and the environment, and just, you know, and being there for the land and the water. And, you know, it's good that you take that perspective and you act within that space appropriately. But I always question, I'm like, what is it about fishing that just makes everyone, like, takes this space and makes it like a business, or makes it like this whole big thing? It's like, is fishing itself not enough? But maybe people just have so much passion for it that they feel like they want to live in this space forever.
Because everyone that fishes is not going to be good at responding to email, so they need to find a backup plan.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Trust
one.
me, I try emailing them. Yeah, it is pretty wild, and it's such a lucky
That's why I paint fish for a living.
too.
I'm like, I just want to do this
Right?
forever.
I know. I recently, you know, with inflation stuff, thought about getting a real job, as they call it, just to, you know, make like, you know, not be so stressed. And then I realized that I can't do that. That's the world's biggest joke ever. Like, yeah. And we're so lucky. It takes bravery though, also, to like actually pursue your passion as your career.
It takes a huge amount of bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people
it really
that are doing
does.
it are pretty damn fearless.
Mm-hmm. Especially for those that are tied to other obligations like family and you know, being a breadwinner and a provider and stuff like that. It could be very scary. I speak from experience on that one.
Totally.
It could be a very, very scary moment.
Wait, so what's your trajectory with so
damn it, she wants to talk about me again.
I need to know.
She wants to talk about me again.
Do the people know already? Should I wait till after? And
People know what?
About like who you are.
My
I'm
people.
assuming now that you're on episode 130 something.
I don't know. What do they know? No one.
Like, should I
interviews me.
interview you post
You
podcast,
you want
or do you want to be
interview
interviewed
me.
now?
Interview me.
Yes!
Go ahead. All right. Go
All
ahead.
right,
You
listeners,
have the floor.
Let's get to know this
All
guy.
right. Heather has the floor.
All right. So
Did you prepare yourself a list of questions?
I did not whatsoever.
Good.
But
Perfect.
I think we can rapid fire.
All right. Rapid fire.
All right. So
Fire away.
you're sketching at FSU lecture halls. You break into class that you shouldn't even be in, and you're sketching these drawings, right? So I'm assuming this has been part of you for a very, very long time.
As long as I can remember.
What's your like post grad? What's step one?
So I took a job interview on a whim.
Okay.
And I really thought it would be cool to work in a music business, and I ended up there for 17 years.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a musician yourself?
I'm a frustrated musician.
Okay.
So meaning I play
like heavy metal or what?
I play guitar, and no. It's like I'm not good enough to ever do anything with it. But no, I play guitar and harmonica, and I have a good time and all that. But you know, it's never nothing. I always just pursued the visual arts. I never really put my energy there. So I just took that job, and I have never stopped painting fish. I probably have told this story on the podcast before, where it was, you know, my whole life I painted fish ever since I was a little kid. The first ever art gallery I was ever in, I was 17 years old. I was still at Givens in high school, was in the building right behind us. Right. So
what are the odds?
So, and I got my, when we put the artwork on the bridge, so the bridge right behind us is
your paintings on it.
Yeah, like the whole entire bridge is wrapped on the intercoastal with our
no
artwork.
way.
Yeah.
If I just like walk out there, will I be able
we'll
to
go
see
after.
it?
We'll go
All
after.
right.
Take a look.
Sweet. What's the bridge called, just so that people know?
Atlantic Harmony.
Atlantic Harmony, take a nice drive.
Yep. Take a nice drive to the Atlantic Harmony Bridge by artist Dennis Friel. No. So yeah, so we figured, then we had a spot open here. Like, we were in Coral Springs when we first opened the studio.
Mm-hmm.
When I quit my day job, like 9 years ago, something like that. We just opened up as Dennis Friel Art Studios. We call it DFAS for short. And we had a great time. And then Harris came in. This is the Cliff Notes version of it. My business partner came in. We just decided to start a brand new company. We had the podcast idea kick in, and we wanted the name of the podcast Connected by Water.
Best name ever.
And thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, well, let's just name the whole damn company that because we love it so much. And then that's how we ended up here. I can't remember the original question, but
I wanted Spark Notes out of your life.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's the evolution of all that. But so we got so busy when I loved working in the music business. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a kick-ass job. Like, I was a creative director. I had like 17 employees in my department, and it was $1 billion company. We worked directly with like Universal and Sony and Warner Brothers and all that. We were responsible for like doing advertising campaigns like into like Best Buy and Target and like major stuff. Right? So it was really a cool job. It was a very, very tough job to leave. All the free concert tickets you could ever want. Like I've seen every show. I've been backstage with some, very famous artists and doing very illegal things and whatever. It was a lot of fun.
Beep.
Right. And not very illegal, but slightly
like
illegal. Slightly illegal. Somewhat illegal. Smelled really good. But long time ago. But yeah, so it was and that was a great job. But the thing is, my passion really lied in the water. It lied with fish, and this is what I always wanted to do. Like, ever since I was a kid, like I'm like 17 years old, and like the IGFA auction down at the Breakers, and when it was down there.
Yeah.
And I grew up a fisherman and an angler and a diver and a surfer and all that.
Did you come from a fishy fam? Or what was your
Not really.
You went to Gibbons.
I went to Gibbons.
Yeah.
But before that, see here, the most important thing I think my parents could have done for us is like I told you before the show started, I'm the youngest of 6, right? They're all from New Jersey.
Yeah.
All from Jersey
So
City.
my dad's family.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So they're all from Jersey? Really? What part?
Livingston.
I don't know where that is.
It's a little suburb full of Jews.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where my dad came from.
Surprised I don't know it. No, I'm just kidding. So, my father was a Jersey City firefighter. This is like the late 60s and early 70s. He's a sheet metal fabricator and a construction worker. In fact, he worked on the original Twin Towers and Madison Square Garden. Like, had a hand in building both of them. It was very tough raising 5 kids at the time in their little Jersey house, which actually we were just up in New Jersey for the Atlantic City Jimmy Johnson tournament. And we took our kids, my wife and I took our kids to that house. We like, this is where like you're from. These are your roots. This little shack in like Jersey City. And, so my father, he moved down here and picked everyone up, moved down here, and he started his own AC business. But the most important thing he did was we got this like timeshare down in Marathon. From my entire life, I grew up going there like for like 2 weeks out of every summer. And that is really what like gave me a base of like passion for like, when you're down there for 2 weeks, that's my camp, right? And then so that really was like the greatest influence that I could ever have. And that's where my brother and I were just like 11. He's 5 years older than me. We're taking the boat out on our own, 25 miles out to the hump, catching mahi, and that's where it all started for me. And it was a great way to grow up in the summers. And then we took that back home with us here, and just growing up and getting dropped off all day and fishing and surfing here, and was to really establish a foundation for my entire upbringing. And when I went to Gibbons, like, you're not wrong,
that whole community,
right?
just
the entire community that went to that school they're all that was the other side of the tracks to me, because growing up out west, as you know, it's a different world. I'm showing up to Gibbons, and there's kids rolling up there driving Porsches, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
My family.
Can I get a ride in your boat?
My family does not come from money, so that's what I did.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I want to go fishing on your boat, and they're looking at me like, well, you don't know how to fish. I'm like, trust me, I could probably fish better than you, right? But I'll draw whatever we catch. They're like, all right, come with us. So we catch sailfish, we catch mahi, whatever like that, and I draw them at the end of the day, whatever we caught, and then word got around, so people all started taking me fishing all the time.
That's so, like the old school, like everyone wants to take the photographer now. Back then,
so I literally,
it's like, I want to take the drawer.
Right. So I literally drew my way into it.
Yeah.
So and that's part of another like reason why it's like so like deeply ingrained into me, because it's like how I got my ups.
Mm-hmm.
And then but then I went away to Ringling in Sarasota. That's where I went to art school, and that was a really great influence
That's
because
where Ashley Weber went there too. Do you know her?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
She said you're a friend.
yeah, and then that's where I kind of got my influence of the West Coast and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
and I got to experience a different part of Florida, which is great for me.
More inshore crowd.
Right. So it's like Florida to me is like, at this point it's like so ingrained in my heart, like just about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, when I came back and I took that job in the music business, it was kind of like a 180 for me. So, but then I kind of eventually got back to my roots because I never stopped painting fish.
Yeah.
So, and on the outside of my job, I was just like nonstop freelance. And, my wife eventually was like, you're too busy with both. You got to choose one. I'm like, well, I'm going to choose fish because it's enough now. Yeah. So here we are 9 years later after I quit my day job. You asked.
I asked, and I was told that's amazing.
Yeah, did I put you to sleep on that one?
No, you didn't. I absolutely love how many chapters life has in store, and it's fun hearing.
Yeah.
As we all kind of like, I mean, you guys are both 26, 7 too. Like we're still in like chapter 1 in a way, our first like few years out, and there's just like so many chapters to come. It's exciting as can be, and it's cool
there are so many chapters to come. I mean, and you got to really embrace all of them. And the only advice I could ever give anyone is just like along the way, always communicate with people and don't end anything badly, and just try to always leave a relationship with a positive.
100%.
And that's probably the key to life, I think.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, what you know, it's who you know, and it speaks about who you are too.
Yeah, and relationships are everything.
Yep.
They really are.
Definitely.
I'm not really good at doing things, I always say. Like my skills are very limited, but I'm really good at being a friend, and that's
a skill.
That's my skill. That is my
100%
one
a skill.
That is, yeah.
I could see how you would be
like
an extremely good friend.
Yeah, sometimes I show up late, but I like relationship management.
Listen, I'm the king of showing. I actually thought I was being late for this, right? Because I'm like, listen, when I showed up here today, I'm like texting like Nick. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be there just before 4. I'm gonna eat with the kids first and everything like that. He's like, oh, no worries. And I get here, it's like after 4, and like both of them are on like a beach chair, like
just
sitting outside
in
the studio.
Hot, humid Florida sun. Oops, sorry. My grandma just really wanted me to buy this dress, and I told her, no, I want shorts. Mm-hmm. She said, no, Heather, you have to wear a dress. And I said, no, I don't want it, Grandma. And she goes, will you buy it for me? And I said, no. That's why I was late.
To bring. Well, I guess my point for bringing that up is like when you were late too, I was like, all right, we're gonna get along. So this is good. We roll the same.
Oops.
So I mean, just to kind of bring that back a little bit is, this is why I think along the way the whole time, you meet some really great people, and I guess eventually at some point I look back on all of it, and I'm like, I'm really really blessed to have been able to like. God gave me talent to be able to do something with it, but also I think, I was raised in a way by my parents that made me appreciate people and community and what that means, and how people like you hear the terms like it takes a village and all that stuff, but
they exist because they're true.
Yeah, and but when a community comes together, there's really nothing stronger than that. And if we're ever going to get anything done, with values and conservation and how the world keeps trying to change us, and we want to say no, that this is still the path, like the foundation that's been laid is still the path that we need to follow. It speaks worlds and it speaks volumes, and I just want to like explain like Connected by Water is all about looking back and having appreciation for everyone you've met along the way that's been influenced you, that's been able to give you power and give you support and make it happen for you, because God knows I did not do this on my own.
Yep.
Like there's no way in hell. And I think how I was able to do is just trying to be as good to people as I possibly can, with the perspective of trying to achieve what I want to achieve at the same time.
Yes.
And
I like this guy.
And I've made sacrifices along the way because of that, because you think like you need to capitalize in every moment. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people are like, why are you giving away for free? You need to charge more. Well, and I hear that shit all the time, and I'm just like, you know what though? But then that would make me not me, mm-hmm. And I want to keep things the way they are when it comes to that. So, my mom, it's so funny. My mom said to my wife one day, she's like, like this before we got married. She goes, I just want you, you know, she's like, you're not ever going to be rich. And she's like, what? She's like, Dennis is too nice, like that, like that. And I'm like, and I'm like, Mom, what are you saying, right? She's like, she's like, he's always
complimenting you.
Yeah, he's a sucker. He's like, if someone like he's got a soft heart for everybody, he's gonna give everything away for free and like all that shit. I'm like, Mom, don't say that to her. Yeah.
That's so sweet and so true.
It's funny.
Wow. Yeah, you're a really genuine human being.
No,
that community is everything.
No, I'm not. I'm horrible.
Okay, yeah, I can tell that too. Sorry, I was just trying to, feed into
it. But anyway, why did you turn this podcast about me? Damn it!
Because you're interesting.
You have talent to do this.
You have talent. And speaking of talent, do you think everyone's an artist?
I do. Thank you for bringing that one up. I truly believe, I have a theory. As human beings,
yes,
everybody has access to that side of their brain. I think everybody in their own way is creative. And a lot of times people think that they're not because they don't know how to draw.
Right.
And everyone
Drawing's
thinks that
not
everyone thinks that is the root of all creativity.
I can weave palm frond hats.
Here you go. I mean, I think like if you think you can't draw and you're not creative because you can't draw, you're missing the point of the whole thing. Everybody has a creative outlet. Everybody has something that they can do that's creative, whether it be cooking or weaving palm frond hats or putting together a podcast or whatever, you know what I mean, or stringing together video or art or
putting your words together.
Designing clothes, putting your words together right. Exactly. That's creativity.
Yeah.
100%. How you write is creativity. Right? And, I mean, and anything, it could be anything. It could be like, how you want to design your car. Like you want to put like a lift kit on it or something like that's technically a creative outlet.
Yes.
Right? So, but if you're just not lazy enough to, or, if you're too lazy to pursue it, or that's a different story, but you got it. It's in you.
Next question, and then I'll stop interviewing you.
But like when questions,
I have so many. Maybe I should start a podcast. I don't know. Okay, so when you,
I think you should start a podcast.
Maybe. When you paint, okay, I guess I have two questions. One would be, where do you go when you're painting, and then the second one is going to be, has making your love for art into a profession diluted your love for art in any way, shape, or form?
Very good question. First of all, sometimes I paint here. This is still in progress. So sometimes I'll paint inside the gallery. You're hired. But mostly I paint next door in my studio over there. Lately it's been a challenge to get all the painting done because we do a lot of apparel, and we're just like booked months out for all these apparel packages. I think before I took time off in July, which I took 3 weeks off here basically. Before I took that time off, I was getting very stressed out and very jaded about the apparel part of our business because it was just absorbing so much of my time. But I think now that I've been able to separate from it a little bit, I'm a little bit more embracing of it because ultimately you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. Yeah. Right? And apparel's been very, very, very good to us. And I can't complain about it. And I'd be a fool to complain about it. But, it can get daunting when there's just like so much of it that it takes me away from my true passion, which is painting. Right. And so then you start questioning everything and like where you want to go with your life and what do you want to do. So, but now I'm a little bit more even keel about it, especially after meeting cool people like you at iCast.
Woo, iCast.
Right? No, but I mean, the podcast has a big play in it. You surround yourself with cool and important people like Nick and Yanni. Definitely have, in a very short period of time, had a great impact here, not only professionally but personally, and love these guys to death. And so you start appreciating like what you've built and the flexibility of it all, and
being your own damn boss.
Being your own boss. I'll never have a job ever again.
And
hell no.
Feels good.
There's no way. Yeah. So, what about you?
Combining my passion. So I always say, like in life.
Oh, that was the question, right? Combining your passion. I saw one on the tangent. Yeah. So it can be tough. So to answer that real quick before you do,
he likes being.
I've been doing it for a long time, and especially I've really kind of got through a lot of that in the music business years, working in the corporate environment, where you don't really have time to worry about critique and everything like that. You just need to get the job done, and sometimes like you learn to pick your battles, and that's just becoming a professional, and that's really, when you ultimately make your decision to be like, I want to do my passion for a living, you really need to take a long, hard look at that and understand that you need to accept certain things that you're going to have control over and you're not. So that whole like Lord grant me the serenity to accept all things, however that phrase goes, the courage, the wisdom to know the difference. Like that's really what it's like combining your professional life with your passion. So if I had to wrap it up in one phrase, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Needed to hear that. Yeah.
It's true though. No, it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is the most beautiful blessing in the world, but sometimes it's like when all your boxes are combined, it turns into this. I don't want to use the word suffocating because there's a negative connotation with that, but like,
it's not for everybody.
yeah,
I can tell you that right now. It's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to be cut out for this.
no,
Like
it's
combining your not just art. I'm just saying combining your passion for a living. Not everyone's cut out for it. I can
I
tell you
could
that right now.
technically do business with all of my best friends,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone I do business with becomes a best friend,
Right.
which is
That's the beauty. That's the
blessing.
beauty and the curse of this business.
and a curse.
I'm telling you right now.
Exactly.
You nailed it on the head. That is the beauty and the curse of
And when you have to say no,
We
and
all
when
love
things
to
don't
fish.
go that way, it's hard because there's such a deep love and connection in the friendship.
Yep.
But then on the other end of that, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. I just spent 2 months running programs surrounded by a bunch of people that technically are the volunteers for our organization, but at the end of the day, they're like my brothers.
Yeah. Right.
It's really cool. Yeah.
100%. I mean, I
So-
can't tell you how many friendships I fostered that are just my clients. Like
Right?
for years, I have clients that I had before I even gone and quit my day job. I still have them, and it's like we're buddies, and they keep coming to me for business. And it's like it's beautiful to be able to weave that in. Not everyone falls in that category,
Mhm.
right? But it is nice to see that, and that is the thing. We're all here, doing our passion.
Yeah.
I mean, we make a joke that we should have named it Play Money Studios, because we're not curing cancer. Like that's why we take like the approaches on conservation the way we do. Like let's put some meaning into this,
Right.
right? Because at the end of the day, my clientele isn't poor, right? They, it's not a poor man's sport, and especially when it's like the big offshore stuff in the area that we're in right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not dealing with anything that they take too seriously, but we do feel a lot of pressure getting all the jobs out. But it really does bring a lot of value, like intrinsic value to me to be able to foster these friendships with a lot of people, because at the end of the day, after every job I do, we're talking fishing.
Yeah.
And we're hearing about, and they're texting me all their half bitten and half tunas all the time, and because the sharks are really bad. I gotta fit it in every episode, but but yeah. So you explain to me what it's like, with your passion, like, and bringing that to your life, because you're extremely interesting to me for a lot of reasons. Number one, you're fucking awesome, right? And just as a person, like that's ultimately clear. The second I met you yesterday, right? I'm like, she's great, and also everything that Nick said about you has completely been validated.
Right. Emphasis on the interesting.
Right. But
wow.
you have done a lot in a very short period of time with this, and you got a really, really great future out of you in this, if you want it, if you want to take it and embrace it. So explain to me what you've experienced thus far in your long 5 years ago with the ICAST thing. How's
In
that?
my
How's
5
that
years of
snapshot been?
post-grad adulthood.
Right. How's that snapshot been for you so far, both as a learning experience,
Yeah.
right, and as a passion experience?
It's been multi-layered. That's a very long-winded answer. I always say, like, in life there's kind of like 3 buckets you put your goals in, and it's like your professional goals, your passion-based goals,
Mm-hmm.
and then your personal goals.
Right.
And most people kind of have 3 buckets, and they're all jumping into professional, passion, purpose separately.
Mm-hmm.
My life. I work with my best friends. I do my passion for work. It's all diluted into this one big melting pot of goodness,
Okay.
which is so fun. Right now, you're catching me at a point of exhaustion. I'm like I came straight from
Yeah,
my
me
season.
too.
I went straight into ICAST, and then boom, we're here today. Literally 24-hour, less than 24 hours ago, we were both at ICAST. Like, it was literally bada bing, bada boom, bada boom. So, and believe it or not, by the rapid speed talking, if I went to bed right now without an alarm clock, I'd probably sleep for like 15, 16 hours.
Okay.
I'm exhausted.
That's all right. There's a certain satisfaction to that.
Oh, there is. I know.
Yeah.
It's fun to run hard. I like combining them all. That's what I want to continue doing
Mm-hmm.
throughout the course of my lifetime. I just know there's going to be a lot of different chapters to it. I think now, like, recently I've come to the conclusion, I've always been a planner. And I've also always thought Fish for Change was something I was going to do for potentially an entire lifetime. I'm reaching this season with Fish for Change was really special. I see myself doing it for a lot of years more. I'm constantly learning and growing with it. It's one of those things too where I'm on the administrative end.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to put on like the merch hat. I get to put on the fundraising hat. I get to put on the sales hat, bookings, marketing. So for an ADHD young lady, I am never burnt out because I'm always constantly confused over a new project. You know, I'm always learning. My days in the office outside of my season are just very diverse, always. And I love that. I need that. I couldn't do the same thing every single day. And I think that's really special. But I also do think running a youthful organization, it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to eventually pass the torch down to an alumni of the organization as they grow up. This summer, I felt like a mom, you guys. Like I had most of my students were a full decade younger than me this summer. And sometimes I felt like I only showed up to tell them no, you know, like it wasn't like I was no longer like, let's play. I was more like, don't jump off the dock. Stop saying that word. Say please and thank you. Gosh.
Right. I need to check with legal.
And totally. But yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be one of those things where I eventually bring it into a place where it is running without me overseeing all these minor details and pass the torch on to someone that's grown up in it, which will be so beautiful to see.
Well, there's when it comes to that kind of growth, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you had a hand in building it.
Exactly.
You know, to be able to pass on to someone else and witness them thriving in that environment. We witness that here sometimes too with some of the young people that we bring up, and it's really, really rewarding. But you know, it was interesting because at ICAST I went to the Polar Ambassador dinner, and you know, I'm there with a bunch of really, really cool people that we were discussing. I don't want to name drop the whole thing, but it was a very respectable table. Yeah. One of the guys there was C.A. Richardson, and he turned to someone else and he says, "You know, we're all getting replaced, you know, like just to make it clear to you,
natural progression of things.
You know, we're all eventually going to get replaced." And you know, he's like, so it's really kind of satisfying when you can have a hand in who's going to be replacing you.
Mentor them.
Yeah.
Replace them yourself with the right person.
Yeah, and I turned to him and I said,
for the right reasons.
Right, I turned to him and I said, yeah, it's better to pass the torch than be torched.
Oh, what a line. Yeah.
And it's true.
It's very
true. It's very true because a lot of people will deny that. And it's the same thing when it comes to, like, I guess an analogy I can bring up is I like bringing on other artists onto the show. And, you know, some people are like, well, how can you do that? They're direct competitors, or don't you guys have this thing where, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, no. When I was younger, I used to look at like at that way. But, you know, now as I get older, I understand and I embrace, you know, just, and that's part of becoming a professional and like working with other artists over the years and different things like that. I'm like, but, you know, you can't deny your circle. And I think a lot of people do that, and it cannibalizes their careers.
Oh my
and it
goodness.
cannibalizes their lives, that they just deny, you know what I mean? They just try to say, like, no, I'm the best, I'm the one. And they just try to like funnel people to believe that. And it's like, lose that delusionality right now, please. Like there's a lot of people in the world, and there's a lot of great people in the world, and just embrace it. And I think everyone will be happier that way.
Yes, they will.
And that's kind of
what. And if someone is your competitor, that means they probably are pretty damn similar to you.
Right.
So make them a friend.
Yeah.
Because it's very rare to find people that similar. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So tell me in your own words.
Yes.
Okay. Where you see yourself 10 years.
Don't ask. Okay, so
you have this answered.
What'd you say?
You have this answered.
Well, no, I would say, so here's the thing. I've always been such a planner that I usually be like, here's my 1, 3, and 5 year plan. I wrote it in my journal this morning after I meditated. No, Nick's like, retweet. Okay, no, but actually,
Like, what do you want out of all this?
Here's what I want in life.
You know.
And
you have it mapped out?
I don't have it mapped out. I've had it mapped out, but I'm finally kind of just surrendering to the fact that there's going to be curveballs, and I don't know. But
I hope so.
There's going to be a whole lot of. I hope there's curveballs. Curveballs are fun.
Absolutely.
They might be daunting at the time, but in the grand scheme, that's what makes life interesting.
Because when you hit one, there's nothing more rewarding.
Exactly. What I want in this life is to understand why as many humans as possible tick, and help to explain that and connect people. And also I like hosting the Fish for Change experience with teenagers just because I like taking someone that's green to the world and kind of like altering their perception of reality. And if I can play a little role in the exposure element, that means a lot to me. And that's something I think I have the ability to foster. So it might not be Fish for Change, but I have always dreamed about starting a fishing lodge at some point or starting some type of hosted travel that's extremely unconventional and makes people just kind of like travel different, connect with humans different, bring out the curiosity in them. And the ways I'm going to do that, I don't know exactly, but I am going on a scouting trip this winter through Central America's Caribbean side to just see what's going on over there. I'll leave it as
Central America's Caribbean side, eh?
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I haven't planned out the whole thing yet.
In the one country that's like been be able to avoid any sort of controversy for like the last 70 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the one awesome country down there.
And no, it might not be that one.
No, it might not be that one.
No.
It might be the other one.
Yeah.
It might be somewhere more tropical. Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna. I haven't planned it yet. Exactly, but I definitely, and I don't even know if that'll be it, but I definitely just want to do some scouting. I'd like to create really cool travel experience packages for people. I like what Fish for Change is doing a lot, but we're very niche, right? We're focusing on saltwater fly fishing and the teenage demographic. Like, name something more niche than that. Try booking those trips. It's impossible. There's not that many people that want that. But if I can take those basic concepts of like fly fishing, community, conservation, exposure, bringing out confidence in people, bringing out curiosity in people, bringing out empathy through connection to new cultures and places, like, I'll feel very completed and very full. And so I would like to do something like that on a bigger level. It doesn't necessarily need to be fly fishing focused or youth focused. It can be full blown outdoor space and all ages, ranges, and people.
Okay, that sounds like a very nice where do you see yourself in your career in 10 years?
That's my answer.
But I'm gonna peel back one more layer.
And then also I want to
peel back one more. So don't avoid this question. You're trying to avoid it. See it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna peel back one more layer.
10 years.
In 10 years, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to get out of life?
Well, I am 26.
Dig a little deeper.
Maybe I'll have some babies or whatever.
No, seriously. Oh, she's not gonna let me get down there, is she?
I would.
What makes you tick?
People.
Okay.
People's stories. Helping people love people.
Okay.
The human component to it all.
Isn't there a song about that?
And probably, if there's not, let's make one up.
Yeah.
But I like the human component to it all, and I like being confused.
Okay.
And that's why I think my life's gonna have a decent amount of chapters. That's part of why I live out west. Out west makes no sense. I'm horrible at everything out there, but I love it because I'm constantly learning. Nothing's a comfort zone.
How are you going to change the world in 10 years?
One person at a time. I think.
And how much does conservation come into play on that one?
And a decent amount. Any place that I show up, I'd like to understand what's working with it and try to connect the dots. But I do think that, like, as humans, I actually had a talk with Daniel Andrews from Captains about this. Like 2 days ago, I asked him. Because they've taken captains and scaled it from 2 people to 18 people in 5 years and to a massive nonprofit, and their scale is absolutely insane. And I'm intimidated by like scaling Fish for Change because I don't even know where to begin. So I was asking him for advice on it, and he was just like, Heather, he goes, what are you good at? And he goes, this is what you need to do. He goes, you need to hire someone onto your team that's introverted as hell, has more scientific backing, knows how to run Excel, pays attention to details, keeps a calendar. And I was like, are you telling me all the things I'm bad at right now, sir? And he just smiled at me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What I'm saying here is I'm really good at jumping into uncomfortable situations with a whole lot of strangers. And I want to use that to my advantage in my career and all its twists and turns. And I like being curious and uncomfortable in those spaces. So I think it's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of different places to call home, a career that could have many chapters. I think Fish for Change will eventually be passed on, but I think I'll always be involved with it, maybe on like a board capacity. I'd like that. I'd like to always kind of be there.
Okay.
And watch it grow and then create something new. Whether like that's probably going to be a unconventional lodging situation.
How does fishing come into your life as a way to change the world?
Ooh, in so many ways.
Am I asking tough questions?
No, not at
Okay.
all.
All right, good.
I mean, this isn't helping.
It's helping, trust me.
Fishing's coming into my life as a way to change the world. I always think like you take
That's probably the most important question I could ever ask you.
It is. That is the most important question you could ever ask me. You take fishing and you take it away. Actually, that's one of our writing prompts with Fish for Change I came up with is write an essay, who you are because you fly fish. And now completely strip it away from who you are and write who you are without it. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So you start writing and you're like, whoa, am I just loud because I grew up fly fishing around all these people that were my dad's friends, so I had to be? Am I just comfortably traveling because I did that since I was young because of fishing? Am I good with adults because I was surrounded by them? Like, it's like how many pieces of my character came from fishing? How much of who I am is it? And then you take it away and you're like, how much of it was like nature and nurture? And it gets into this whole twisted thing of confusion because there's so many layers to the human experience. Fishing has completely given me a reason to want to protect everything I love. I see it. We get to hands-on, we get to touch it, we get to see it, we get to breathe it, we get all of our sensory overload on these places that are being disrupted by people that are disconnected. Mm-hmm. And that connection. I love that this podcast is called Connected by Water because connection is everything in this life. Mm-hmm. And that layer of connection and exposure leads into every bit of us actually seeing the reason it's worth protecting and understanding the reason. And not wanting to go anywhere because I don't know how I would like what I would do or how I would tick without it. So therefore, I want to take care of it more than anything in the world.
100%.
And yeah, and then also just like on a bubbles of reality standpoint, like my network, my community of people is worldwide. That's insane.
Insane.
I'm from Coral Springs. We're from Coral Springs, Florida. Like,
yep.
No,
I talk to people all over the world all the time.
All the time.
That aspect of this business always blows my mind.
Oh my gosh, it's wild. It makes the world feel small.
And that's the fact that we named it Connected by Water too.
Yeah.
And we were saying no matter where you are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water. And the fact that it's actually living that just blows my mind all the time.
Definitely. Yeah.
100%.
And when the world feels that small, then the things you see on the news and the things you read don't necessarily feel like the other side of the world. They feel like
the world's definitely gotten smaller. We're
right
definitely more
door.
connected than we ever have been. And it's, I know you probably don't see that as much as I do because I'm older than you. Right. But, and what I mean by that is that I remember when the internet first started, you probably grew up with the internet always in your life.
No, I didn't get Facebook till I was 14. Yeah. Life without it doesn't really exist, unfortunately. It's a bummer.
So it's kind of like this is the world, right? And that connectivity. So, which is great because I've been able to experience fishermen from all over the world, artists from all over the world. On this show, we always are constantly pulling parallels between fishing and art. This conversation just came up the other night at that dinner, when everyone was in full agreement. There are so many parallels to fishing and art because fishing is an art in a lot of ways. Probably practically every way. It's an art and a sport.
And dancing. We're dancers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Remind me to bring up my theory on dancing in movies.
We'll circle back around.
Because I don't want to. No, it's good. But there's always these parallels that bring it together. And we always say, being fishermen, artists, same thing. It's not what we do, it's who we are. So if they took it away from you, what else is there? Right? It's the same thing with art, same thing with fishing. This is why I justify my life. This is like all I want to do is paint fish. That is the reason why I justify being able to do it every day for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And it's talking to CA again about it. It's like you're never going to stop. Like it's always people say as a professional fisherman or a professional artist, this is another parallel. It's like you're never going to stop doing this. And I always tell people my last painting is going to be unfinished.
Oh.
Because I'm going to die in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the truth. That's it, right? You asked me. What's that?
Hold on. How does that work on this show?
Hold on. You asked me. Oh, you know what? All right, hold on.
Oh, no. I'm going to be my pants.
No. Answer the phone for him. You go take a bathroom break. Because
right,
Mike.
3, 2, 1.
Hold on.
Good.
I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him.
I'm running.
I'd like to order some takeout, please.
Hey, listen. So, sorry, my phone was on sound. I didn't realize you were calling in the whole time. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Was that tonight or was that?
No, it's happening
recorded?
right now. And the funny thing is, she goes, "Oh, good, Mike's calling. I can go pee." So she just ran into the bathroom right now. So it's just me and you, my brother.
Oh, you know what? That's always enough.
Yeah. So the funny thing is,
enough.
I was just telling her the whole story about when we were talking to CA at the dinner the other night about how, the parallels between art and fishing and how, there's so many of them. And, he was joking about, oh, you're never going to retire from being a fisherman because, it's just who you are. It's not, what you do, it's who you are. So we were just kind of getting into that right now. But
Perfect.
But Heather is back right now.
Hey, Heather Harkavy, my sweetie. How are you? First off, because she is like her father. She does stuff from her heart, and you have to accept praise for a minute. Heather, I'm so proud of you. You've always followed your heart, and what you are doing right now is absolutely incredible. And you know what? It's like it was meant for you to do it. And you're gifting and giving. Your heart is so big, and you're so smart, and I'm so proud of you. And Heather has been you're like my niece.
That's what she said. Yeah.
We've been family. You were 3, I think, when I first met you, and she still had this vibrant energy. She's still like she is right now, just vibrating, just ready. It's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? But I want to tell you one quick story about Heather. Is that her and her beautiful sister Ariel and her dad were fishing in an IGFA junior angler tournament, and it came to be weigh-in time, and Jeff Harkavy, who is the kindest, nicest man you're ever going to meet in your life. If Jeff Harkavy says he loves you, Heather, what's he mean?
He loves you. He's true to his word.
So he had this entire system to keep these bass alive. And Heather and Ariel caught these huge bass. I think it was you caught them. I'm going to give Ariel a little bit of credit. But they came back and they were dead as Dodie. And
I don't even know the story.
If you remember, it was the whole, ambulance thing. I put them in my cooler and put an aerator in there. It's like, I'm going to bring these to the lake and do all this stuff. And it turned frowns upside down. Everybody was smiling then. Heather, I never told you. The fish died. They were dead.
Oh, no. I'm happy you're telling me
so
now. I think I was too young at the time to accept that.
I'm so sorry to, bust that whole thing up. But I will say it doesn't surprise me that you're on Denny's show. I mean, Connected by Water is really a bunch of like-minded souls that bump into one another, and they find a way to migrate in mind share, which is absolutely incredible.
Mind.
I like it.
I don't know. How long have you known Dennis?
I met him yesterday at ICAST, and I was like, "What's up, man? See you tomorrow."
Hello. Yeah, I mean,
but it feels like a lifetime.
Not only is he an incredible artist and an incredible fine artist, which I don't know that he brags about enough, but U.S. Mint, Newport, Rhode Island, his gold coin, which I'm humbled to have, his set. And a recently penned Ernest Hemingway, hand-drawn on a plane with a mechanical pencil deal. But he gets it. I mean, he's able to put it this way. He's best friends with Adrian Gray,
really?
Derek Redwine, and Charlie Levine. And if you can have one of those guys, 2 of those guys, but all 4 of them as your best friends, plus Harris Katz, myself, Bouncer Smith. I mean, you have this whole deal. There's no way you wouldn't have bounced into him, Heather. I mean, and what you're doing is so enriching and making a difference every day. I couldn't be proud of you.
Oh,
honest to God. I mean, I you know, you know me, I tear up. Your dad looks at me and says, I love you over a poke bowl at the convention center that's a styrofoam plate. It's like, what about this whole don't do plastic thing? And we looked at one another, me and Jeff Harkavy, we laughed. We said, we'll address that after we get done the pokey. You know?
Hey, Mike, I got to tell you, it really, I mean, you know, Nick and Yanni here, the producers of the show, they're very good friends with Heather, and they kept saying, like, you know, you got to have Heather on, you got to have Heather on. And she came by while I was at that signing with the CCA. She came by for a few minutes, and instantly I'm like, absolutely, we have to have Heather on, right? And but it really speaks to you know, our network and just what Connected by Water is all about, and why Connected by Water is so important. Because I think we keep finding ourselves in this, like, and it kind of goes to the point of what you and I were talking about yesterday, about how, you know, about it's, you know, for some reason that we're in each other's lives and we're blessed, and it's just meant to be, you know, all of it. It's just meant to be.
I think people are bound to find their high watermark.
Yeah.
And once they get there, if they're happy with it and they don't strive for more, then they sort of fade a little bit. But what you'll find with Heather and everything she's doing with her nonprofit, you know what? She's infectious.
Absolutely.
You can't be around her and not be excited for what she's doing. And once again, she gives you the Harkavy injection of, man, you walk away from a conversation with her and a hug from her, and you feel better about yourself. You didn't do anything. You showed up. But and a big shout out to, you know, her sister Ariel and her mother Jody is so special to me too. I mean, the whole family. I love them. You probably can't tell, but I love them all.
We love you so much.
I know you do. And you know what? You keep doing what you do. And I absolutely think they broke the mold. I do.
I think that's apparent.
I'm going to do one personal thing with Heather right now.
And then if I cry, you'll cry because you love crying.
I saw a picture of you and your Aunt Julie.
Oh.
Okay? And I want to say it made me happy and a little tear, but happy because she is doing so well. And it's because of you and your family, but not only because what you guys do day to day, but she's living through your adventures. Okay. And you keep it up. You make the world better. And what you're doing right now is making the world a better place. And it wasn't by accident that, you know, Nick, hey, Nick, what's going on, brother? But not that you know those guys. But you know what? Is that you and Dennis found one another, and you're able to get on here and make a difference in his audience. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go because I'll just sit here.
Wait, can I like compliment you back real quick?
Actually, I'm sitting here drinking a little Papa's Pilar. What do you guys doing?
No way, same. Cheers, man.
So she's on the blonde, I'm on the sherry cask as per usual.
It's delicious.
Oh my God! You know what? I have one right here. Let's do a little shot to Connected by Water, because all of us that are, you know, in the studio and outside listening, we're doing it for one reason, because we are all connected by water. And Dennis, thanks for bringing us all together. Just looking at you guys. Love you guys.
Thanks, Mike. Love you, brother.
Love you, Mike. Wait, I wanted to get him back. That is the definition. We were just
like
talking
how many
about...
times he called that I missed? Like 7 times.
Clingy.
Yeah.
Kidding.
He's like, I am getting through on this episode.
Man. No, but actually, we were just having a conversation on the passing of the torch, right?
Yeah.
And that is a great... Like, Mike has, since I was young, along with a lot of other of my dad's friends, they've always just... They got all excited about this, like, kid running around interested in it, and I just feel so lucky because it gave me this team of mentors and people to look up to that I was able to just like absorb their information and what they had to say and their code of ethics, Mike being a big part of that. And now it's weird, in the role I have with Fish for Change, it's like I just had 100 teenagers this summer, and now I kind of am making this shift from being like that kid in the room that's just like, teach me, wait, what's happening? And that it's not a shift now, because I'm still right there, but I also am now dealing with and working with people that are like 10 years younger than me, and I now get to take that, pass it through myself to them, and continue.
Like the jellyfish.
Yeah, that was like the like Mike's over here and the student body's over here, and that was my way of like sending it over. But pass it through to the student body and really just continue on with that. And when I talk about like my eventual heartbreaking phasing out of Fish for Change whenever that day comes and passing the torch, it's going to be so beautiful because then that person will have the same opportunity, and it's just going to go on and on and on.
Right. So when we make you CEO connected by water, that's when it happens. But anyway.
And generations connected by all these generations too.
Last question.
Yes.
For you. Para tu. Para ti. Whatever. How you say it. Creativity. Everyone is.
Everyone, yes.
Okay. What's you?
I'm creative. Do I know how to put the proper dress together for a day? No.
What's your creative outlet? We'll end it on that.
Writing. I really like writing. I feel like my days are so full with so many little details, and my memory is so damn shot. If I don't get it on paper, it might never return to me. And so writing and reflecting and having a chance to really figure out where my head was at in that moment and what that memory was is really, really important to me. I don't know if it's something I'd ever do something with or just more of a personal vendetta, but it's just like, it means a lot to me, and creating that time for myself is important.
Listen, even if you don't do something with it career-wise, you're doing something with it in your heart, and that's all that really matters. Yeah.
And I just signed up for a pottery class this winter because I hate winter.
Did you really?
So yeah, now I'm trying to like do something in the winter.
I love it.
So yeah, that's my way. Florida girl taking on a snowstorm is sign up for pottery. So I'll report back next time and let you know how that's going.
All right.
Maybe
there's definitely going to be a next time.
Show up with a
FYI.
mug.
FYI.
I'll show up with a mug.
You're right.
It'll be blue, like water.
Like this. Oh.
Yeah, but I also do believe that everyone's an artist, and I think also in this fast-paced life, it's nice to slow down enough to take on that creative side sometimes if it doesn't naturally come to you, and that's something I'm actively working on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I cannot begin to tell you how much I've appreciated this podcast.
You too, Dennis. You too.
We are here, this is all pre-recorded stuff. We are here on a Saturday afternoon, and which we've only done, I think, one other time, right?
Wow.
And we've only recorded one other time on a weekend, and I'm so happy that we did. And I'm so happy to have met you, like, on a lot of levels.
I'm so happy we know each other.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
And we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna keep in touch, and we're gonna do a lot of things together. And this is just the beginning. So.
Another connection by water.
100%.
Here it is.
1,000%, million%. So,
well, I wish we had like 10 more hours. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And
yeah. Well, we'll do another one. All right.
Yes.
Next time you're around, whenever you're around, you're like, hey, I got to swing in here and do this for the next hour. Real
Deal.
Quick.
Yeah.
This
is very sweet. This is my first time home in 1 year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Welcome home.
I know. It's my only day.
This will always be your home.
So. It is. I know. This is home. It really is. Yeah.
No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're always connected by water, though. So don't ever forget that.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter where you are. All right. If you're in the market for, I hate saying this right now, I don't want to end this like this, but you're in the market for a new truck or vehicle, give our friends over at JoeyCardyChrysler.Jeep a call.
Yeah, give them a call.
Right? If you want a Jeep, if you want a truck, if you want a whatever price selection service, call Dean. Cannot tell you enough that if you go over there and you say that the Connected by Water podcast sent you, you will get a better deal than anyone else will. I can't promise that, but I think it will happen.
I'm gonna go try. I'll let you guys know.
Give it a shot. But more importantly, here, if we have been drinking Papa's Pilar all afternoon. We got to hear from our good buddy Mike Myatt over there at Papa's Pilar Rum, and it is more than just a rum company. It is a family, and I cannot stress that enough.
Can you feel it from that phone call?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we've never been associated with a company that runs its roots so deep, and we couldn't be more proud to be associated with the Papa's Pilar family. We're keeping the Hemingway tradition alive. All right. And also, if you're hungry, head on over to Papa's Raw Bar over near Lighthouse Point, Florida, and order something off the Connected by Water inspired sushi menu. You will not be disappointed. I promise you that. So,
very cool.
Heather Harkavy, it's been an honor and a pleasure.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. One more plug. If you're interested in learning more about Fish for Change.
Thank you for bringing it up. There you go. Come on.
Just go to www.fishforchange.org. No, but actually, it's a really special organization.
At Fish for Change.
Fishforchange.org. And at Fish for Change on social media. Yes, right. Thank you for the backup. Yep. But it's a special organization. We've got an amazing student body that's worldwide, and the more the merrier. It's so fun bringing kids out for programs and changing their perspective on why they fish.
Yeah. You want to get your kids off the screen. You want to get your kids off the computer. You want to get them out in the wild and doing things that they should be doing.
Well, take their phones away.
Yeah. Like let's give Fish for Change a call. You can research all of their programs, all their different locations all across this side of the planet, and and please, get involved, support. It's an invaluable thing. So, all right, good.
I loved that.
All right,
thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Over and out.
Promise.
Pinky.
All right, your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best. At the end of the day, just let God do the rest, and do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are all
connected by water. Cheers.
Thank you.